welcome to this week's episode of The Effects Loop. I am your host, Jay Byrne. This week is more of a rant, talky kind of episode. I haven't really done a lot of episodes in the past couple of weeks because I've had other things going on. Plus, I'm kind of in this revamping my gear again syndrome, and I'm going to be making videos about my new setup and how that's going and how it sounds and what it does, but that's for a later time, and those are for later videos. What I'd like to talk about in this video though is something that just popped into my head the other day, and it's about Guitar World on YouTube, basically. The guitar community, which I mean I am desperately trying to be a bigger part of, obviously, but lately it seems to me like the guitar community on YouTube, it's very divided. There's two very different communities, so to speak. There's stuff like me, and maybe even some lower quality stuff than what I'm doing. Some stuff that's really just phone camera stuff. That's filming, people just filming what they're doing or showing you a few tricks here and there, showing how to pedal, showing their pedal board, that kind of stuff. There's that, which has always been around. But then there are, the guitar YouTubers. And I'm not gonna name names because I actually respect all of these guys. And I'm actually a big fan of a lot of the work that they do. However, I feel like lately, and I was even talking to my wife about this, and she kind of saw it from her perspective because she sees me watching videos all the time. I feel like the everyman has been pushed out of the guitar community, and that most of the videos that you see now that are posted by the bigger guitar YouTubers, I mean, they're making videos about unobtainium, things that I am never going to be able to afford. Things that, I'm never going to touch. And it's cool in its own way. But it's also nice to see videos about stuff that I can go, hey, I want that. That's kind of cool. Maybe I can go out and, see if I can buy that. Perfect example. I was just interested in Soldanos. I mean, kind of be my dream amp in a sense to get a Soldano. Like an SLO 30 would probably be what would be good for me. And I saw a bunch of videos about SLO, and these are older videos, about SLO 30s, and it seemed like every guitar, major guitar guy covered the SLO 30. And they talk about it yeah, this is amazing, this is a great amp, this is great. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Soldano put out, a 30-watt version of their SLO 100 or whatever. And in my brain, maybe falsely so, definitely falsely so, was looking at it and going, okay, well, I mean, how much can this thing cost? $1,200, $1,300 I mean, I was assuming somewhere around $1,000 for this SLO 30. So I go look it up. It's like a $2,500, almost $3,000 amp. I'm like, really? For real? This is a smaller head version of a Soldano. I know it's a famous and popular amp, and the same thing with Mesa Boogies. Mesa Boogie has just announced that they're re-releasing the rectifier. Hey, that's cool. Re-releasing the rectifier. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of limited, and they're going for $3,000 a piece, maybe more, almost $4,000 in some cases. So what are you supposed to do with that, basically? And I don't know. What are you doing, Ellis?
Oh my God. I don't know if you can read it.
What are you doing?
I don't know if you can read it in the camera, but it says...
Get out of the way.
But it says, did you have a good Halloween? Use your answer in the comments.
Oh, okay. Did you have a good Halloween? Put your answer in the comments. Let me talk. So, anyway. Yeah, sure. Leave your answer in the comments. But I just think that... I went looking up the Mesa Boogies because I had a, which I don't have anymore, these preamp pedals. I was using them through a Pedal Baby 100, which was a really cool setup, and I really liked it. I used it for my Halloween concert, but I just came to the realization that I don't need all that gear. a head and an amp and some pedals, and that'll cover whatever I need to do. But that's for another episode. I'm going to be getting into that stuff in other videos, showing off my kind of like new setup. But I'm still kind of working on it, so that's why things are getting dragged out a little bit here. Waiting for things to show up that I ordered, basically. But yeah, I feel like the everyman is not represented as much as it used to be in the guitar world. Every video I see now is about stuff that I could never afford. Stuff that like is way out of my price range, or it's so limited that nobody can get their hands on it. Like, it's impossible to get. Go looking for this stuff, it's sold out, you can't buy it here, nobody has it there. I mean, I know we've seen a lot of videos about Boss pedals and MXR pedals and typical stuff like, you know, orange amps and stuff like that. Things that are available. Things that I can go to a guitar center and maybe find. I mean, there are a lot of videos about that stuff out there. But generally speaking, most of the higher end guitar YouTubers are just talking about stuff that I am never going to be able to touch. They're all playing Gibsons, Fenders, like high value guitars. You know, there's a lot of boutique brand guitars too, stuff like Novos and stuff like that, okay? And those are great guitars, but they're made by these boutique companies. They cost thousands of dollars, and I mean, this is custom made stuff. So how does that apply to me? Like, it's like I can't relate to that. When I'm watching these guys, I'm like, yeah, this is cool stuff. But then a lot of times I can't really relate to it because it's just too much money to buy this stuff. And I think part of the blame to that could actually be the industry, the guitar industry in general. Because companies are, I mean, they're charging ridiculous amounts of money for things that used to be cheaper. Like, you used to be able to get certain amp heads for around $500 or $600. Now they're $700-800. Everything is jacked up in price. And the jacked up price doesn't necessarily represent the quality of the item. I mean, just because you're spending $800, you're still getting a $400 amp. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it was $400 2-3 years ago. Now it's almost $800. And the used market, don't even get me going on the used market. Because when I was growing up, you could go to a freaking guitar center, or we had this place called Rick's Music World. You could go in there any day of the week and find, you know, it was a lot of PV and crate stuff, solid state, because that's what I grew up on. But you could find Marshalls. You could find, I mean, I played in bands with a lot of guys who had Marshalls. They had JCM 900s, some of the later 800s. But they went and bought this stuff used for like $400 or $500. Like $500 for a JCM 800 head used. Good luck trying to find that now. If you want a JCM 800, you're paying like $2,000 for it. Unless you go out and buy one of the studio versions, the smaller versions. And even those brand new are creeping up on like $1,500, $1,600. So, well, some of them you can get them for around $1,200, $1,300, depending on where you look. But, yeah, I really want to, going forward, try to focus on the stuff that I know that the people that watch my videos, like my base of like people that watch my stuff, what they can afford, the type of stuff that they can afford. And, you know, yeah, it's lower quality stuff, some of this. It's, you know, affordable gear, but it doesn't have to be bad. That gear doesn't have to be bad gear. And now I'm not talking about $200 guitars, because there's a lot of people out there making videos about these really cheap guitars that you can buy on Amazon. Oh, this is way better. It beats them up its price. Yeah, it does. But there's a happy medium there. Honestly believe that anything less than like $500-600 or so, you're gonna have to put a good amount of work in it. And even at $600, you're gonna have to put some work into it. But you can get a decent guitar between under $1,000, just under $1,000. You can get a decent guitar. You can get a decent amp, just under $1,000. That $1,000 seems to be the cap. That seems to be the point where everything seems to fall into. You know, anywhere between $600 and $1,000. But anyway, that's my rant for today. I just really feel like, you know, the everyman is being pushed out of the guitar community. as far as the online YouTube stuff is concerned. And yeah, I mean, I'm never going to own a Klon. As much as I want a Soldano, I'll probably never have one. These are not the things that I can afford, that normal people can afford. I mean, unless you're, making a bill for $4,000 for your amp, which I don't know if it's worth it, because everything eventually dies out and everything eventually needs service and everything, I'm kind of focusing on a lot of solid state gear. I want to go analog. I want to stay analog because I think, not 100% analog. I mean, I have pedals that are digital as well, but I want to go mostly analog for a lot of stuff because I feel like, to me, that's a real amp. I'm falling out of favor with the digital modeling world because there's always something better. You always have to upgrade to the next thing. Where you can go out and buy a analog, solid state, tube, whatever you want, amp, and that's your amp for the next 10, 15 years. As long as it still works, it's still the same amp. It still sounds the same. It's all about what sounds good to us, what sounds good to our ears, what sounds good recorded, So, anyway, this rant was kind of all over the map. But I do have some more content coming in the next couple of weeks, and I think it's going to be some pretty good stuff. So, hopefully you'll enjoy. And, yeah. Well, I've been Jay Byrne. This has been the Effects Loop. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you next time. Take care.